This story time is from a follower, and she really needs advice. By the way, we're going to call her Kalia. So, Kalia's baby daddy had got her pregnant when she was 15, and now she's currently 16. She said they have a toxic cycle where they get very nasty with each other. Then they be okay for a few days. But it just seems like every single day they argue. To normal as everything is okay. It seems like every time they argue, he pinpoints her physical appearance. And that takes a toll on her on how she perceives her own body. There were times where she tried to talk to him about her feelings, but he would just get really mad and leave because he supposedly has a short temper. And he's also very manipulative towards her. She said she thinks about leaving, but she's scared because she has a baby with this man. Well, this boy, there's a daily cycle of him breaking up with her every day. She feels like this relationship has been really draining. There are times where the relationship was physically. She wants to remain anonymous, so please down below drop down some advice. Story time on how my homophobic boyfriend turned out to be actually gay. So my sophomore year of college is actually when I met my boyfriend, which by the way we're calling Justin. Justin had just transferred over and he was a junior. And before anyone comes at me for me being with a homophobic, well, at the time I didn't know he was, and I didn't exactly know what homophobic was. But anyway, back to our relationship, I met him at a Greek party. We talked, swapped numbers, and then the rest was history. Well, history for the next couple months. I would notice little small things in our relationship, like he never liked any of the guy friends I had, specifically the gay friends I had. He always had something to say about them regarding their sexuality. Not even that. There were times about how he would just randomly talk about how gay people are disgusting. And there was one time at this party where he got into a fight with one of my friends, who was, by the way, gay. And this is when I found out he was gay. I'm coming back for part 2. Part 2 on how I found out my homophobic boyfriend was gay. So, like I said, we were at a party and he got into it with one of my friends. Now, the whole situation started is when my friend wanted to go get me a drink. And by the way, we all came to the party together. And my boyfriend didn't like that. He said that he would get it. My friend was like, no, it's cool. I got it. And then they just started bickering back and forth. Of course, my boyfriend was like, oh, you're not her man. You're a sissy. You're that, da-da-da-da-da. Just going off on him. And I was telling him to calm down. It's not that serious. And my friend left the area where we went to go get himself a drink, came back, and threw the drink on my boyfriend. And I was so confused because I thought he was trying to leave the situation alone. And my boyfriend got up and just immediately started going in on him. So they got into it, and my best friend was beat up real bad. When I got up and, tried to clean him off, my friend was like, oh, you need to go talk to your boyfriend about what happened last night. And I'm like, last night? Y'all come back for part 3 on how I found out my homophobic boyfriend was gay. So after their fight or whatever, my friend was messed up real bad. I picked him up, try to help him out. And of course, I was upset about the whole situation, but my boyfriend really blacked out on him, which I thought was unnecessary. Anyways, my friend was really frustrated, was really irritated, and literally out of nowhere, he was like, tell her about last night. And I'm like, what happened last night? He was like, oh, since he want to talk about me being gay, talk about what you do. And I'm looking at him like, what? In my head, I'm still not thinking he's gay. I'm thinking maybe he cheated on me with some girl. But regardless, I still would be upset. And my friend was like, I'm sorry to tell you, but he was with me last night. And I'm looking and I'm chuckling a little bit wait, huh? He's saying after the little arguments that we've been having in our relationship that he would go to my friend dorm room and they would be messing around. And my boyfriend, of course, the entire time, he's like, that's not true. He's lying. You gonna trust this sissy boy? Am I the asshole for stealing $10,000 from my best friend? So back in 2020, when the pandemic started, my best friend had got laid off from her job. Me, I kind of already worked from home, so as far as working, I never got laid off. Since she was out of work, she was trying to find new ways of making income, and one of them was starting a business. She wanted to start a nail business, which, by the way, this girl could not do nails. And this is no way to bash my friend. She just didn't have the patience to even do her own nails. It took her maybe 3 months to develop her business, but once she had got it running, she started making a lot of money. And I was happy for her, but I was confused on how she was making money because I've never seen her, do anyone's nails. She said in order for me to understand her business, she's not going to give the ins and outs unless I were to join her. And I was like, cool, I guess we both could make money, which I'll explain in part 2. Part 2 of me stealing $10,000 from my best friend. So I joined her business. Mind you, I didn't know exactly what it was about. I just knew it had something to do with nails, and she made little small posts of like nails. When I went to her house and saw her bedroom, she had a lot of press-on nails all over the place. So I was like, oh, she's selling press-on nails. That explains. She told me where she had got everything from, how she markets herself, just explains everything to me. And I was like, oh, wow, this is really great of what you done. I had asked her, like, how do I get started on? She was like, this business that she has started is a 6-figure business monthly, and that I would need to invest $10,000 into her business. And I was like, whoa, because $10,000 is like what I've like had saved up. But she had promised that she was making that amount of money, and she showed me her accounts. She literally said, girl, you can have $100K in your bank by next month. So of course I joined on, and I explained how she tricked me in part 3. Part 3 on how I stole $10,000 from my best friend. So after a month within joining, she said I would have to pay for some of the stock, which was okay, the marketing, the websites, and I also had to help her run, the pages for her business. Well, our business now. I remember when I first had joined on, she was saying like the business is going to be slow for just a few weeks. And I trusted her because that was my girl. And every month I just was still investing into her ads, still investing into promotion. On top of the $10,000, I was still investing more and more money. Give or take, literally after 6 months, we weren't gaining barely any sales. And she said that she wanted me out of the business because she felt like I wasn't doing much. Mind you, I invested majority of the money. During the process of her wanting to kick me off, I begged her to keep me to stay. Black Friday and Christmas came up, and we started to get a whole bunch of sales, and we made a give or take over $30,000. Knowing that she wanted me to leave, I transferred the money from our business account to my account. Story time of my traumatic BBL surgery and why I believe no one should get them. So around the time I was 18, I just graduated high school. I've always been very insecure about my body. I used to get teased because of it. My legs were like pencil thin and my stomach was like a balloon. I tried working out and building glutes, but they would never grow and my stubborn stomach fat wouldn't move. So for the rest of the year, I saved up and started searching for the cheapest doctors because I couldn't afford to get a BBL. So I came across this one website and the doctor was in Turkey. He did BBLs for as little as $3,000. So I asked my friend if she could come and I scheduled an appointment a few months later. Went through a consultation and all that. As the time get closer, I started to do my research and there's not many reviews, which should have been a red flag. When the time comes, we fly out, go to the office. The building said university and it almost looked like a school. I asked the receptionist about it and she said it was for doctors in training, which was an even bigger red flag, which I'll get into in part 2. Part 2 of my traumatic BBL surgery and why I believe no one should get them. I arrived, got prepped for surgery, they started marking me up so I know where the fat was being transferred. While they're doing this, there's students coming in watching, which by the way, they never informed me of. And at the time, I thought, well, that's what's supposed to happen and I never said anything. A couple minutes later, I go through with the surgery. After coming out is when I started regretting it. In the beginning, my body was exactly what I wanted it to be with the faja. But without it, my stomach looked wrinkly and my butt had dimples. I was scared, so I called to see what was wrong. In the actual BBL. After 3 months, my body still looked disformed. I cried about it and I constantly would call the surgeons just about every week. And I believe they got annoyed because they stopped answering all my calls. And I started to reach out to them through blocked numbers. After doing more research, I found out my doctor was still a student. No one was fully certified. In the time frame I got my surgery, the facility was getting sued for someone else who got a botched surgery. If you ever get a BBL, please do your research.
Cassie decided to wake up at 4 a.m. that morning to get ready for school. She needed to clear her head. And for those 3 hours she spent getting ready, she only thought about one thing.
You don't understand, Nate, is I am crazier!
That's not something to be fucking proud of, Cassie!
No, but it is something you should be scared of.
What the fuck? You can't fucking blackmail me into a relationship with you.
Blackmail means you don't have choices. But in reality, you do have choices. You just have to own up to the consequences of them.
That is the literal fucking definition of blackmail. If you don't do this, I'm gonna do that. It's blackmail.
I don't care. It doesn't change anything.
It's fucked up.
You know what's fucked up, Nate? You telling me that you love me and then going and being in a relationship with my best friend.
What the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Okay. Bye.
Story time on how I got both of my best friends cheating on me with my boyfriend. Yes, both of them. So at the time I was entering college and one of my best friends went to the same school as me. My other best friend went to the same school as my boyfriend. And our schools were close. We were only like 10 minutes away from each other. Homecoming is when things started to get fishy. I asked my boyfriend if he wanted to come out to our homecoming games. And he said that he was busy. Then of course I asked my best friend, but she said she had cheerleading practices because she was trying to become a cheerleader. I don't know, they just always seem busy doing something around the same time. So then the holiday comes up and I visit my boyfriend's family for Christmas. I don't know, something in me just told me to look at his phone. And he was talking to my best friend, the one he went to school with. And the conversation was just too flirty. So I talked to my other best friend about it that I went to the same school with. And she was like, oh, I always knew something was weird about them too. I, of course, confronted my boyfriend about it and he said nothing was going on. So I decided to play reverse psychology on my best friend. Come back for